Hello and welcome, my name is Alex. I'm currently developing ZFG, which you can find on indiedb.com/games/zombiefluidgame. ZFG was recently released and is free to download and play right now from gamejolt.com. So if you head over to their website and search for Zombie Fluid Game, you can download it right now. I'll also put a link in the description. So first off, I'm going to talk about the controls. A lot of people have asked me why the movement controls are dependent on the direction you're facing. So what you'll find typically in most games that you are locked to the axes, so up, down, left, right, and all of those movements are independent of the direction of facing of your character. So I can show you in ZFG that this isn't the case, because if I hold down forwards whilst changing the direction of my character, you can see he will actually move relative to that direction. It also allows for further controls such as strafing, and also you can still move backwards while shooting, but obviously at a reduced pace. One of the key benefits to this is, on top of the additional freedom of movement, being able to move at any angle or direction, is that it forces you to, at any point when you encounter a threat, to decide between standing your ground and fighting, or turning tail and escaping, getting out of there. So the movement controls take a little getting used to, but after a short while you'll find they become quite natural. In addition to the movement controls, we have some key controls that allow you to use, obviously R will reload your current weapon, E will collect any ammunition and weapons distributed around the map, Q will drop the current weapon, and F will allow you to interact with doors opening and closing them. On top of those initial controls, you can interact with the environment further by grabbing environmental objects such as the dumpsters here. So you can use right mouse to control whichever one is closest to your current cursor position. So obviously I can switch between these and manipulate them. And this can be particularly useful for setting up barricades. So for instance, I can use this dumpster to block up this pathway in a store. So any point now, if any zombies come along here, although they will be able to see me still over the barricade, they won't actually be able to penetrate through. These environmental objects are actually indestructible at this point. That's just because they're an experimental feature, so that's subject to change in the future. They may be destructible or more easily manipulated by the AI. So now that you have plenty of ammunition and an array of weapons to defend yourself with, it's up to you to survive for as long as possible. Eventually, when you do succumb to the hordes, you will be provided with a survival rating, depending on how well you fought back and also for how long you managed to stay alive. The rating provides a good comparison between your performances. Try out different tactics, map sizes, and difficulties to see how they affect your rating. So by pressing escape now, the game is paused and it allows you to return to the main menu or to save your game. Just enter in the name of your file and hit enter. And now your game has been persistently saved. So now we're back at the main menu. At any point you can load or delete a previous save file that will load back in all the AI and the entire map and all its contents just as you left them. So if we jump back into that one I was just in, you can see it's even retained all the stats as well as my state as a zombie. Okay, so finally I'm going to talk to you about the map generation options that you get when creating a new game. The map is created by stitching together a variety of different map segments, and each of these map segments will be of various types. So you can have, say, forests, farm, residential area, business area, parks, a military base, etc. Each of these different segments is then placed together in some sort of logical order to determine the way in which the map consists. So the way in which they are put together is dependent on the generation type, which is the first option that you're given. So you can choose between town, which will procedurally mimic the layout of a town, providing you with more densely populated areas such as residential buildings and business buildings towards the centre. As you get further away from the centre, you're more likely to come across parks and residential areas, and then finally at the very outskirts the town will be surrounded by forest and farming land. And then distributed within the town you can find hospitals, and then towards the outskirts of town military bases. Both of those last two are are less frequently found around the map, just to emulate their rarity in reality. Ultimately, you can choose totally random. This will be literally totally random, so every single time the map is going to be extremely different, and just be pretty much a mashup of all the different map segment variants. It may be a little bit unbalanced, but also could be quite fun, so it's worth experimenting with. And finally, fixed is something that's going to be expanded upon a little bit more in a future update. Currently there is an array that's hard-coded into the actual scripts of the game, and eventually I will pull this array out from being hard-coded, so it's in either a text file or an XML file. You can then edit this file and the map will actually be generated based on this array. So the array is made up of different letters, so like F would be forest, R would be residential area, B business building, M military base, etc. And then basically you can plot out how the map would be laid out and set up any scenarios based on what you'd like to see. So the next thing to talk about is fairly self-explanatory, and it's the difficulty options. You have easy, medium, hard and expert. These affect the speed of the player, how much the player becomes encumbered by additional weapons. Also they will affect how rare ammunition and weapons are when they're generated into the map. Arguably the most important option here is the map size. Altering this variable will increase and decrease the size of the map. The actual value represents the width and height of the map. So here we have, for example, 6. So the map will be a 6 by 6. Therefore you'll have 36 total segments constituting the area of the map. Increasing this value will make the game more computationally intensive for your computer to handle. So laptops will generally range from 6 to 10, desktop PCs will be around 18, gaming computers will be around 26 and up. Basically experiment with that and find something that works nicely for your computer. You can tell how well your particular rig is handling by looking at the FPS in the top left of the screen whenever you're in a game. So just jump into a couple of games and find out what size map works best for you. Basically you just want to do anything that will maintain a nice steady 30 FPS. The final setting here is the mode. These are there are currently 4 options: breakout, invasion, barricade and horde. These options are choices for different starting scenarios. This idea may be expanded upon later, but at the moment they just affect the way in which the zombies invasion starts out. So breakout mode will generate a lab building in the center of the map. Outside the lab building will be protesters, and then within the building is where everything takes place. There are a few zombies. They overpower and overwhelm the lab assistants, eventually managing to take over the building and then break out, attack the protesters and spread out into the rest of the town. Here you're going to want to try and get away from that building pretty much as quickly as possible, put some distance between that building and yourself, go collect some ammunition and weapons so you can be better prepared for when they all start to break out. Invasion mode is almost the inverse of breakout mode. The zombies will come from the 4 corners of the map, emulating sort of an external invasion, where in which the source of the outbreak is in a different town, and then the invasion then spreads into your town. Basically, this changes up the gameplay as it gives you a bit more time to collect some weaponry and some ammunition. However, when they do hit, because you've had time to build up numbers before getting towards the centre of town, they actually hit with quite a bit more force and larger numbers, so be prepared. Barricade and Horde are fairly similar. Horde mode will put you into the shoes of someone who is being chased down by a horde of approximately 100 zombies, chasing them down through the streets. You're going to want to really quickly try and put some distance between them and yourself. The best way of doing this is to find some unfortunate human AI and lead the zombies towards them so they can act as a distraction for your escape. Barricade is pretty much the same thing, except you are on the other side of a police barricade. The zombies will charge into that barricade, and obviously the police will fight back, killing as many zombies as they can before they get overwhelmed. And basically that buys you just enough time to get away from the initial outbreak, and then collect some ammunition and weapons again, so that you can defend yourself. Okay, so we'll check this mode out by jumping into the game. So you can see here the police barricade is engaging the zombies. They eventually become overwhelmed, and these last remaining zombies will eventually infect more of the civilians, infect the police, spread out from this location. The police actually did quite a good job in this case, and then it's up to you to again try and equip yourself and survive for as long as possible and get that survival rating as high as you can. Thank you very much for your time. I hope you enjoy the game, and I look forward to hearing your feedback.